up running that right now so we can progressively send that out. And one of the things that came up, and again, I'm talking about president of Tcas having seniors for the people that are out there watching this, because this goes right onto our Facebook site. So, what are we about? What do we do? And we're going to get into that. But something came up this week. It was really interesting. Okay, and it happened yesterday in one of our big meetings that Mary and I had because we're realtors. And so somebody came up to me, actually a couple people came up to us and said, well, what are you guys about? And started asking all these questions. And I'm going, holy moly, with all the marketing that I'm doing, right, and we're doing, is that we're not putting enough information out there. And, it isn't just Tcas Advocacy, this could be many of us, right? So, because we want to expand our business correctly, we all want to be successful, and some people like money too, okay? And so, if you have a good product, you should be talking about it and getting out to the phone. And of course, with all the things that are out there today, it's really easy to do it. Really easy to do it. So one of the things that I thought about this morning, and Catherine and I were talking about it, is that we're going to take, our landing pages on our website and just right-click, dump it into wherever we want to send it, and you can get it out there. And that takes seconds to do that. So your business is like that, you can do that. So we're going to do that. And because this person says to me, is there a lot of aged people at those meetings? So I ran to the mirror, I looked at myself, I said, well, there's a few. And I'm going, holy moly, we're not getting that message out there that look at the different types of businesses that are sitting here and networking this morning. Look at it, right? So we got to do more of that. I promise that we'll do more than that, but you also need to do more than that. And also, anybody know in a 1 hour program on TV, how much of it is commercials?
22 minutes.
Well, somebody yesterday said it was 36, but who knows, half of it. So guess what I'm doing, sharing and all that stuff, right? Besides getting a coffee or a beer or going to the bathroom, right? I cut some into it too, right? So there's so much time out there that you can invest, or you have, time management, right? That you can actually do that. Now, this week, we went to another level. Well, what did we do? Well, what's been going on? So what we did is we made over 40, probably at least 3 dozen improvements to our website. Then you email everybody. You want to change your email? Do you want to change whatever the number changed, a logo? Some people don't use that picture anymore. I want the new picture in there. And all those changes are getting done, right? And I even took some of the people that are in some categories and even made sure they were also in as members. So you got basically double ads out there, or double amount of information for you. So doing that. One of the things that we can see is that we can see when everybody's sharing. Okay? So, when they go to church, first thing the pastor says is, put your phones on silent. While you have them in your hands, why don't you share our live feed? Right? So, so what's that going to do for me? Everybody knows what a whiffle is, right? So what's that going to do for you? So there's so much available out there. And guess what? It's free. This week, we took, and for a little over a week, took and marketed, and we had 12,800 views. That was one site, one time. Plus approximately 300 posts this week about Tcas, 300. And today's only Thursday. And I can show them to you. We won't do that, it'll take up the whole meeting. But we can show that to you. And you can actually go on to our site, and on the bottom side, right-hand side, you can actually see views, what's going on, and how long was that in there. Like, for instance, we did one today, a few, and there was 300 views that quick. So that, again, that could be your business. All right? So another challenge to get more seniors, because now they'll see everything online, right? Are we there?
Yep.
Okay. So you'll be able to see that because it's recording and it'll be out there. And it costs right? About $5 a year for a senior to join. And we have a guest speaker here that I hear is just unbelievable. And wouldn't it be nice to get all that information to all of our seniors on the Treasure Coast? Well, we're actually to the world, so we can get out to the world. Okay, so we're going to let the coffee sponsors talk this morning. Right? Come on up.
All right.
Yep, go ahead.
Question you may not be able to answer, but I understand the governor is trying to do away with property taxes, and do you have any sort of updates or like an inside information being a realtor?
Of course, we're watching very close, but
Nothing yet.
no, there's nothing. It's just like there's a big bill that's passed that'll wind up being, $1 trillion on Medicare and everything over the next 10 years. It's $880 billion, and there's a lot of things that are happening. But again, none of that is for 2024, and it's not here for the beginning of the year because it's not approved. There's a lot of talk, and there's talk about going to a female governor too, right?
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
So, Bill and Catherine White,
Hey.
board members, right?
Thank you so much. It's so good to see all of you and many familiar faces and those that we haven't met. We want to. That's what we're here for. So our business is Prime Brain Body Mind for 55 plus. And what we do as neuroscientists, behavioral neuroscientists, is we help people optimize their brain, body, and overall health. And in assisted living, independent living, community settings, and in homes, we bring a system of behavior change to help people have hope, health, and happiness. We can all use more of that. The outcomes that we achieve with patients have to do with increasing their mood, helping them be happier. When we had this going in Rhode Island, we would go into assisted livings, and when they saw us, the residents smiled. They were happy to see us, and we were happy to see them smile. We helped improve their cognitive function. We helped them improve their overall health and their ability to stay where they are. They don't want to go to a memory center. They want to stay where they are in assisted living, as an example. So if you come across folks that are needing more hope, health, and happiness, send them our way. On that note, I'm going to turn it over to Bill, who is my co-founder of this company.
Yeah, thank you. Just to let you know a little bit more about what it is that we do, but more importantly, how we do it and why it works. So it takes a little bit of a journey for me in the next minute and a half. I don't think it's any secret to anybody in this room that we are in 17th place with every index of healthcare compared to 16 nations of comparable wealth. So after being a chief operating officer for a hospital and the chief patient care officer, and Catherine being a senior VP of nursing and quality for a hospital, we decided we couldn't do it anymore. We couldn't work in a healthcare system that focused on symptoms and prescribed lots of meds that, quite frankly, we're also nurse practitioners, so we prescribed those meds. Didn't work. So, what did we do? We decided to become behavioral neuroscientists. Very quickly, we broke out on the scene at Mayo Clinic. We were among the first to position an epigenetic system of medicine, that I'm sure our chiropractic colleague will relate to and talk about. And we applied it to neuro. And for the first time, we said that we could, with our new system, influence improvement of brain functioning at a cellular and a molecular level. We got very well received by these top scientists at Mayo, and some of them followed up with us to teach us more about how to help make that happen. We published a 20-chapter bestseller book for a while that still sells today around the world, introducing what we do on the neuro side. 3 years later, we published proof of concept research on not just brain health, but also mind health, the whole psychiatric end of things. And we actually got statistically significant improvement with a very at-risk population to improve their cognition and their depression, which really hadn't been done before. And that was accepted by the top group of scientists and researchers in the world involved with dementia. We were competitively selected to present that at the Alzheimer's annual meeting, annual world meeting in London, England, and they published a big abstract of that internationally. So we started to really get excited about that and then said, enough on the academic side, let's get out there and help people. So we just spent the last 5 or 6 years, field testing it with multiple senior livings and daycares, and pretty much then got to the point where, as you have on your seats, created a system of 12 best practices in activation science and a sustainability process, which people all forget about. But that's pretty much what we do, and our sweet spot, as Catherine says, is assisted livings. We also do work at independent livings and for people in home. We can help reverse mild cognitive impairment and depression. Thank you.
Okay. So very quickly, we've upgraded our Treasure Coast Advocate Seniors Assistance Form. It's also got done right away on our website, so go check it out. I got a few copies here. And you can see there's some changes, verbiage, areas to ask for help and so on and so forth. But let me talk about a situation that just happened. Oh, we had a couple. Mary and I go out, and if I get it,
Can I interrupt?
yeah.
I understand Dr. has to leave for the airport. So
Oh, okay.
I'm fine.
What time do you have to leave?
I'm good until 10. I'm fine.
Okay, good. So anyway, we go out to this lady's house. She wouldn't let us in her house. She says, okay, I need a refrigerator. I go to her garage, and she wants her garage refrigerator replaced. That was a no, hard no, right? As they say, hard no. So then we get another one. This is recent. And this one came in from actually one of the businesses that are a part of this in the membership. And so we go out, and I saw something I never saw before. Family, 2 people, elderly people, had a little tiny freezer, one of those little tiny ones, with the top open, with a tray at the top for a few cold things, and just one layer of stuff at the bottom. And that's what they had been using for 8 months. So guess what? Treasure Coast Advocate Seniors wrote the check. We shopped our like crazy. Name of the place is Protect, right out of
Protect.
Fort Pierce. We're calling them today to try to get some reimbursement to put, to help them. And so we took care of it. They had us on the phone when they were delivering, had me on the phone, put on the speakerphone so Mary could hear it. And you'd have thought we gave those people $10 million. It was, I might have cried. I'm not going to admit it. Okay, I might have cried. So let's go around the room very quickly. Introduce yourself, and then we're going to get on to our doctor, okay?
Should we
We
do
do that
the
after.
introductions after?
Yeah.
Let the
We're
doctor
going
speak,
after?
yeah.
Yeah, that way we
Okay,
can speak.
so we'll let Catherine introduce our doctor.
Okay, and I'm gonna read the mission statement after also, because, I don't want to take up any of your time. So, Dr. Frank Giampedro is a licensed chiropractic physician practicing in Stuart, Florida. He is the owner and president of Performance Health and Chiropractic Incorporated. He also operates Disc Centers of America, Stuart, and Pro Performance Center with particular attention to balance and coordination, memory and cognition, mobility and flexibility. Dr. Giampedro has written numerous articles and has lectured throughout the country on various topics, including non-surgical treatment of complex spine and disc disorders, balance and coordination, as well as the conservative management of sports injuries. The office focuses on difficult cases regarding the neck and lower back, as well as the extremities, including shoulders, elbows, hips, and knees. Dr. Giampedro has been practicing in Stuart for nearly 30 years. So let's welcome Dr. Frank.
Thank you. That was a very nice introduction. have done better if I wrote it myself. Okay, thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here with you this morning. I am on my way to Pittsburgh and I'm lecturing on Saturday, so I don't sit still even though it's been over 30 years, and I like the energy right up here with Bill and your company. That sounds phenomenal. I'm going to show you where we kind of fit the pie in between that. First, I'd like to recognize Steve Hedrick. Most of you know Steve. He's around a lot of these functions, so he's what I like to call my kind of, he's like my MacGyver. He's my community liaison. We'll keep it that way. I don't like marketer. You'll get probably in the next 2 or 3 minutes. I'm not up here to sell you anything. You know, Steve, sometimes when I speak, he'll say, you know, get him excited a little bit. Like we talked earlier, I'll have a glass of wine with you later and have fun. But when I'm doing this, I appreciate the time, and I think it's good to make it valuable and get to the point and let you leave with something, just something as far as something different. So in my introduction, she talked about some of the things that we do. Yes, I'm a chiropractor. I'm a licensed chiropractic physician. Bless you. My first practice was here in Port St. Lucie. I used to work with the police department. I actually helped them put their first fitness facility next door many, many years ago. That being said, I'm also a certified sports chiropractor. Past life, I was a baseball and a hockey player through college. That's all I wanted to do. When it looked like that wasn't going to work out, I chose medicine as a career, and I chose chiropractic because it helped me immensely with a neck problem from a couple of bad hockey injuries. Way back then, when my friends were getting hurt, knee surgery wasn't arthroscopic yet. It was a big cut. Shoulder surgery wasn't arthroscopic. That meant you were done. So thank God for modern medicine. It's come a long way. Obviously, medications that help in everyday affairs. Surgeries have improved a lot. I got into chiropractic to try and help people avoid unnecessary medications and needless injections and absolutely surgeries when they're not required. Because when it comes to the spine, spinal surgery is not any picnic. I don't know how many of you are familiar with medical billing, but there are codes, ICD codes. That's a 5, 6, 8 digit and letter number for everything from a headache to a sore tooth to you name it. Well, when something has such a high failure rate that it gets its own code, I would say be leery. Failed spinal surgery syndrome has its own code in the insurance world. And that's nothing against the surgeons. In the last 2 weeks, I've had 3 or 4 referrals from spine surgeons for what we do, because now, compared to earlier in my career, spinal surgery is even being told to patients by the surgeons, this should be your last resort. Try everything. Now, we had a nice little conversation whereby my profession tends to get thrown in, and I'm sure every profession has its thing. Lawyers have a tough act sometimes to shed certain reputations. But chiropractors are always lumped into a certain type of treatment, right? How many people here have had chiropractic in the past go? Okay. A couple of my patients right up front. Nice to see some familiar faces. Okay, so we've all, if you've gone or not gone, everyone's known crack my back, pop, twist, that kind of thing. And look, any profession here, if we went around, everybody or everything has its roots, right, where it came from. I mean, modern medicine with leeches and different things. Chiropractic has evolved a lot. I like to call those techniques traditional in nature, old school, if you will. But there have been such innovations and technological advancements that have touched my profession. One can either choose to keep their head in whole and do what we were taught 35, 40 years ago, or advance. And that's what I've chosen to do. Well, the video that is playing up there is part of what we do. So I'm not here to talk a lot about my office. I want to get right into the balance and the cognitive stuff. But just in a nutshell, we do treat these difficult cases, but they're not with what some of you may think with cracking, twisting, popping. We have complex decompression tables for these bad spinal issues. Some of the patients we've had recently have had surgeries already and even have had hardware, and you can still treat them with these types of things. I was in Atlanta last weekend on another recertification program on just this kind of thing. Had a guest speaker. If you ever have time and want to look up a neurologist, MD, Dr. Jay Lombard, New York. He's written a half dozen books, is coming out with another one, and his entire approach is trying to get away from the pharmacologicals. Because when you come to things like neuropathy, modern medicine just has gabapentin, Lyrica, and those class of drugs. Side effects are brutal, and as he said last week, when they work, the threshold to say that they work is very, very low. Let's put it that way. Somebody can get a modicum of relief for a very short period of time. Pharmaceutical industry puts that as a check. That's a good sign. Far too many patients have a very, very difficult time with that, and they have nowhere else to go because that's something, for example, that cannot respond to surgery, and it's very difficult to treat. You're also going to see a lot of ads these days for that because it's become very lucrative. There's a lot of physicians that don't have training in it, and it's a big money grab. So it's a tough road to navigate at times. One statistic that came up last week that shocked me, or two, let's say. I don't know how many people watched TV last night, but if you did you happen to see a drug commercial at all? Or 10? Okay. How many countries in the world do you think allow that to happen?
One.
There's actually two. New Zealand is the only other one. Our friends down south. U.S. makes up 5% of the world's population. Guess how much we consume in pharmacologicals?
Oh.
75% of the drugs taken in the world are in this country. I'm just piggybacking what you just heard a few minutes ago. We do not rank very high in the countries for health. I mean, every president, I'm not going to get political, we don't have enough time for that today, right? But look, everyone gets up and says, and this is the greatest country in the world, like, thank God I'm here. But we do not have the best health system. We do not rank high enough for the money we spend. Lobbying. How many people have ever done anything with politics, right? I haven't, but I know about lobbying type things. Pharmacological industry, for every senator that you can, as they say, pick out your phone and fact check me, they assign 12 lobbyists per senator in the Capitol.
Wow.
How can any other industry compete with that? So when decisions are being made on healthcare and wellness care and trying to do things that I've been trying to do for 30 years, you're fighting a mountain. You're fighting against a machine that, quite frankly, just won't back down. So I've made it a point through the years to do things like this. We do talks in our office. We have coffees. We have tours. Eleanor and Joe have been in my facility many times. And, Christine as well. Mm-hmm. And, we just simply try and get the word out. Yes, I am someone that's been around a while, but my office is as current as February 2025. And I feel that that's what I've got to do. If I love what I do. I'm going to continue to bring to my patients and the public cutting edge things on everything that we treat. So just jumping in a little bit more, I do practice with an associate. It's a neat little story. I'll just very rapidly go through. Dr. Calderon is all of about 30 years old. He's been with me going on 4 years now, but he's been in my office since he was 15. He was a short-lived pro baseball player, but he was a phenomenal standout high school baseball player. As I already said, I'm sports certified. I've been dealing with the high schools in Martin County for years. Met Andrew as a sophomore in high school as a baseball player. His parents started bringing him in. You kind of get the idea. One thing led to another when he was in college. Bright kid, was pre-med. He said, hey, I think I want to go to chiropractic school. Maybe one day we can work together. I'm getting old because now he's 4 years in my practice. And every day I look at him, it makes me think, what happened to this 15-year-old kid who's now quite a big kid?
Yeah.
So, excuse me. So he has emulated what I've done. He's a certified sports physician. He's certified in all these other things that we do. He's really, I'm not slowing down. It kind of gets to him some days. He says, God, I'm tired. You saw a whole lot more patients than I did. So, but he's there to help me out and continue what our mission really has been. So we do have performance health and chiropractic. Yes, the decompression facility. But with scrolling up in here, Pro Performance 360, that's where we get into this motion therapy and balance and cognitive balance and stability training. I only got into this a couple of years ago. Piece of equipment here to the left. Steve may go over some of that later. It's our portable. Couple of quick metric things on this. It's the only instrument of its kind patented to test not just for balance. I had a plate in my office for several years. You'd stand on it, Joe, or you'd come, Bill, and you'd do a two-legged balance test and eyes open, eyes closed, and it would score. And when I first bought it, the guy said, "You're going to score 100. I said, "Well, nobody's balance is perfect. Why am I going to score 100? Because the data in there is for over 72 years old. There's no, and this was only about 5 or 6 years ago. So it was very, very basic. The next step from that was six-figure testing equipment that would be in hospitals. So this company came out just a few years ago based on some studies I'm going to reference in a moment, and did a few things whereby you can test 2 legs, 1 leg, and the results for the first time go in quadrants, forward, backward. So if someone, look, a lot of people come in, they already know they have a balance problem. So I don't need a piece of equipment to say, guess what, Steve, you have a balance problem. Well, no kidding. I came in and told you I'm not very comfortable walking my dog. But with this, we get a metric, we get scores, but we are also able to tell if a patient has a propensity for forward or backward, left or right. So we will get scores very consistent, for example, with someone has a tendency that they're going to drift forward and right. Well, sometimes you've seen people, they go black eye because they hit or they fall backwards. Flip that with numerous exercises that really come across like games. Eleanor's done them. We can then train through the weakness or into the weakness to strengthen that. Sometimes the very first visit, we can retest and show the patient that there's a difference there. So balance testing, balance training is something that we hit quite a bit of. So why are some of these things important? I was talking with Matt earlier, and I've been very fortunate growing up. I had all 4 of my grandparents live into their 90s. And my grandmother, you could be right up to her at times and, talk, well, hearing, right? Age-related hearing loss. But that is a taboo thing to talk about. I learned that as a young kid. Well, what I've learned the last few years is, so is balance. If you want to put somebody on that plate, when I first started, they'd be like, I don't have a balance problem. I'm good. I'm not falling. Well, you can see people walk around, and true, if they're not on the ground, technically they're in balance. They may not, they're going to teeter at a blade of grass, let alone something else. But a fall is defined specifically as a slip or a trip that you do not recover from. So you think about it, a threshold, a change from hardwood to tile, a carpet, a dog leash, on and on and on. Most of us are put in that situation on a daily basis where we may stumble. If we don't have all of these skills going, we're going to end up on the ground. So about 10 years ago, the powers that be that pay the bills, CMS, Medicare, and all the big companies started to look at the dollars being spent with fall-related injuries. I've got some statistics up here, kind of small, but very quickly. We spent years in the hospital setting. Visits to the emergency room. Over 50% of visits to the ER are due to falls. Not heart attacks, not strokes, and I've got a hospital executive right here shaking his head. This is right from NIH and CDC and ABC. Here's where it gets a little sobering. More than 50% of those visits to the ER don't go home with a little Band-Aid. They go upstairs. They're in for a little bit. Think about it, head trauma, hip fractures, they need some attention. Now it starts to really get head scratching. More than 50% of those upstairs don't get to go home. Inpatient rehab and facilities. Gets worse, sorry to be a downer at 9:30. More than 50% of those patients don't get to go home. They go to long-term assisted living, and unfortunately more than 50% of those pass away. A sobering statistic on hip fractures is 1 in 5 end up dying within 5 years. So again, I don't give this to every patient that comes in unbalanced because it sounds like I'm scaring the hell out of them, but these are medical facts. So what happens? We are trying to peel this back to where, and I keep picking on my healthcare friends up front. I want it where they don't have any patients to see in assisted living. I want it where, as Harvard came out just a year ago, patients can maintain their mobility and independence to not have to. Now, thank God, I'm just kidding, obviously. But why not have patients start things in their 60s, 50s, 40s, when sedentary life really starts to kick in? When I have a patient that's 45, 50 years old and can't bend forward and looks at me, and I don't make this up, and say, Doc, you want me to bend over forward? And they're younger than me by a lot. I haven't done much physical activity since PE in high school. I mean, the country's approach to healthcare is not healthcare, it's sickness care. So Harvard dedicated not just a little pamphlet, a whole book, just a year old. Keys to staying active and self-sufficient as you age. I tell you, I was blessed to have my grandparents all around a long time. My parents are 88 and almost 84. They live in a 2-story house back in New England. They got bored in Florida. They take care of an acre of property, have stairs everywhere. And their mobility and balance is pretty darn good. Now, it's not just luck. They're very, very active. Cognitively, you keep stimulating and doing things. Harvard, along with a bunch of other institutes, thought that this was such a key piece. And by the way, I failed to mention one of the chapters in here about maintaining mobility and independence, balance. They followed it up with balance, an entire book on balance and what should be done. Now, a lot of this is home type things and so forth. The higher institutions, Harvard being one of the leaders in recent years, define that there are 5 components to balance. A couple we can't do anything about, but those 5 are vision. Factually, most falls happen at night. If somebody gets up, goes to the bathroom, doesn't see something, and falls. Other than vision, it's musculoskeletal system, right? If we have weakness in the big, large muscles of the lower body, buttocks and legs, we're not going to catch ourselves falling. Then it goes to central nervous system, brain and spine, peripheral nervous system, those nerves that go all the way to our feet and toes. They got to send these signals very quickly. And then a part of the nervous system called the vestibular neural system, or the vestibular system. What is that? If I hold my thumb above my head, I don't need to look at it to see where it is. It's what we call spatial orientation, where joints are in space. If I command my thumb to go left and right, these split-second things that happen. So conventional physical therapy strengthens. They'll have people get up and down out of chairs. They'll walk a toe line. It stays relatively basic. There's really not been much in the way of therapeutics that addresses these neural pathways and the vestibular stuff. That's what the systems in our office do. We have one that's much bigger than this. It's a 500-pound piece. We can do 3D training on it and so forth. The goals there are to stimulate these systems that have, the old saying, if you don't use it, you lose it type of thing. Of course, a lot of home type things work as well. But really drilling down and getting to some of it in a, let's just say in a much deeper way to stimulate things, especially if they started tapering off. Now, of course, these things are a lot easier to affect a bit younger than somebody coming in their 80s having severe issues on a walker or a cane and saying, I have severe balance issues, what can you do? They improve, but you can imagine, the room for improvement there is huge, but the reality is it's a small game. So a couple of other terms I want to bring in. We all are very, very familiar with the term lifespan, right? I mentioned my dad, 88, my grandparents were 90. We all know people in their 80s and even 90s now. How about health span? Has health span, has anybody kind of heard that thrown around or whatnot? Okay, so lifespan's easy. It's how many years we've been on this earth. Health span is how many functional or enjoyable or productive years are there. Here's another sobering statistic on the United States. The gap between health span and lifespan has never been worse. It's approaching 13 years. And unfortunately, we lead the world in that, the modern medicine world, in that statistic. which means if you're lucky enough, let's just say to live to 90, you haven't been enjoying or doing much from 77, 78. That doesn't sound like living to me. So again, the powers that be, the ones that are really looking into this, groups that we've heard alluded to already with speakers, are how the heck do we close this thing? Because between, right, we're become industrialized, we've become, this great country. Yes, thank God for modern medicine, medications that help when we need them, and so forth and so on, pasteurized foods, etc. Life expectancy, I just got to pull my thing for this. This was sobering to me too, I heard not long ago. 100 years ago in the United States, the life expectancy was 57 years old.
Wow.
I think some of us in the room be in trouble already. By 1950, 68, and by 1970, 71. So we've come a long way in increasing lifespan. But the health span thing is far, far lacking. And look, there's numerous things to this. Nutrition and lack of exercise and the big things like cardiovascular disease, diabetes, things that come along with that, et cetera, et cetera. So Bobby Kennedy, again, love him or hate him, there's definitely some things in his repertoire that need to be addressed. Just this week, I pulled up and one, Lifespan and Health Span, Past, Present, and Promise, Journal of Gerontological Medicine. Believe it or not, this one was actually from 10 years ago. 2015, they were already writing about this. But the last year or two, this has really been popping. This one is December 2024, the global divide between longer life and good health, that gap. Again, I'll give you the short version. The United States, we keep losing and not gaining on that. So definitely a problem there. And here's another one. This one is just this week. What is health span and how can you maximize yours? So look, we can look at this whole topic that I'm opening and say it's a big pie, right? What I try and do, what some other folks up here try and do, what Matt even does is we're taking a slice of that pie. Even Eleanor and Joe, Sarah Skills, which is another great program that I'm a part of. We're taking a slice of that pie. It's not complex medication for sick people. Some of that's had, God forbid, cancer and so forth and so on. We're talking about things that, as I tell my kids, that are in our control, right? There's certain things out of our control. I have a 38-year-old daughter that just finished a 1.5 years battling breast cancer. Shit happens. And I know we're on TV and I'm sorry, but that was like gut check when my wife and I, it's not like she didn't have to suffer. But look, there's certain things that are out of our control. And we all know that, we're all adults. But when it comes to things that are in our control, I have a real peeve as to when people just want to sit back and not do anything about it. Or when they come in with their proverbial bag of problems to my office every day and say, here, fix me. I'll be back at 5 o'clock. And that's how I feel sometimes. I've got this problem. I've made a decision to do something. So what are you going to do to help me? I mean, we all, and everyone that we touch, I believe, have an obligation to this body that's been God-given to do the best we can to get the most out of it. Because I don't know how many of you, and it seems like most of you in the room are dealing with older folks, it gets pretty tough when that health span and lifespan keeps dragging. I've seen it. I can tell you stories from every day in the office. I've got a gentleman right now that's in his early 80s, 40 years building a print company. I think he did pretty good because 2 years ago he bought a $3 million yacht. And he comes in my office telling me that he cannot stand over the ball when he's putting to play golf with his friends, and he can't even step on his boat anymore that he finally got. Because his quality of life, he can't even get on our balance plate without the armchairs. His medical doctor sent him today. Swear to God, his neurologist sent him and said, you need to pick up some pieces here. So these gaps, the health span gap, they just keep widening, unfortunately. So everybody's been sitting a bit. So here's what I want to do is a little game. I want everybody to get up. And so I don't get sued, just step behind the chair that you were in, please. So we keep talking balance and stability, coordination. So where is the testing these days? Well, there's another saying, right? Don't shoot the messenger. So I'm just here to share with you and have you go through this little 30-second routine with me for a second. As this company, and this is actually where I'm going to be this weekend, the president of this company is working on this project with this testing for 10 years. He's gotten so far that currently, right now, he is the only piece of equipment in the VA in Houston with 35 of these undergoing the second test, large cohort of over 200 people, which is big in medical studies, because of the patents that he has on this. As he was coming to market, the largest institutes in the world decided on the benchmark balance test.
Yeah.
And this, I mean, if you do watch any news or TV, whether you're a Fox lover or an MSNBC, it was on them all. It made the Today Show, it made every journal from Time down. So here it is, again, don't shoot the messenger. So I want everybody just to stand, just kind of get your feet under your shoulder width apart, let your shoulders relax, and just kind of get in touch with your body there and feel. Yeah, you're gonna feel a little bit of sway, probably gonna be a little stiff, you've been sitting down, I've been standing, but you kind of get the idea there, right? And a little sway is normal. All right, so the chair's in front of you. So I want everybody just to close their eyes and just get in touch with what's going on with your feet, where you feel you are in space. That vestibular system is kicking in now because we took the eyes away, one of the 5 components. Okay, you got that? All right, open your eyes. All right, everybody did good. Nobody's on the floor. Okay, next one. Everybody step just a bit, give yourself some room, and we're going to raise the right leg. Not just off the floor. You want, as my friend calls it, Captain Morgan style. Get that knee way up high. Yeah, we're losing some already. Okay. And then we can go left. So you get the idea. So here's the kicker. That, eyes closed, 10 seconds. And that's the, so you get, I'm not gonna make everybody end up on the floor. All right, thanks. Come on, grab your seats. So look, that was the largest cohort study just published a couple of years ago. And like I said, it ran like wildfire worldwide because what did it do? It got everybody's attention because you feel good. You know, we all like when we're in good company. 85% of the population fails that test. Because it's not a, well, I did good until the eyes closed, it's pass-fail. So in the confines of somebody's own home, we don't need a big fancy testing equipment to see what's going on there. But the reality is, if that isn't working, and if you can't be doing things and stay upright, those systems aren't working. I cheat because I use this stuff every day. So I get up here and can't do it, then you're not practicing with the preachers, right? So you kind of get the idea on that. There is a huge need. A couple of other things that we test for in the office, these metrics for healthcare span that, again, I could bury you with research on it because every single thing I do in my office, I can just keep throwing it. There's not a month that goes by, I won't say a week, that's an exaggeration, that we don't have medical people in our office touring. Whether it's an MD, spine surgeon, PA, nurse practitioner, and on, we welcome that every single day because I'm very proud of what we put together, but also this really needs to permeate and get out into the communities as to what people should be doing. So every time people are walking through, everything is referenced. I love Steve to death. He's become like a I can't even say a brother, he's like a big kid. But I'm always telling him when he's out there. I said, listen, you've got to watch what you say because I'm not a rah-rah guy. You know, I don't want people to come in with this idea or this, you can't oversell, right? It's just not the way to be in business. At least I've never thought so. I always thought Disney had it down when he took the kids there because you get to the sign and what does it say? Wait from this point, it's 30 minutes. And you go, oh, 15, 20 minutes later, you're at the front of the line. That's a psychological thing that they do. You know, the flip side, you go to a restaurant and your favorite restaurant is, oh, what's the wait? 30 minutes, Bill. Okay, have a drink. What happens at 40 minutes? You're not too happy because you said, what happened at 30? So, you know, under promise, over deliver. So a couple of those other metrics that have become big are grip strength and, believe it or not, toe strength. So I don't know if any of you were standing there with your eyes closed and felt you drift forward a bit, but if your toe, great toe particularly, can't grab, you're going down. These tests in recent years, I'm talking the 2020s, 2022, 23, are contributors to all-cause mortality. So think about it. If you're slipping and you don't have the strength to grab something you just were going by, you're going down. If you tripped over the little dog and that toe strength isn't there, little things that nobody taught me this when I was in school, but these are things that can be worked on, and things that can be measured. We have a piece of equipment, another big fancy thing that we use now. It's brand new to market, 2024 this year, just the end of 24. It's called an EV for evaluation. It's measuring vitals, right? You go to the doctor, you get height, you get weight, you get blood pressure, and so forth. These are the metrics for wellness vitals. So grip strength, toe strength, range of motion of shoulders and hips, the balance testing. We incorporate all of that in an examination now in our office. So if Joe's coming in for his back, he may say, well, why do you need to know how my shoulder moves and my grip strength? Well, just like the MD wants to know what the blood pressure is, it doesn't tell you the cause, but it tells you that, hey, we want to look into this more. Why is the blood pressure up or down or sideways or whatever it may be? So again, just some metrics in that regard. Okay. Some of the cognitive things that we get into, similarly, there's way too much to get into from a didactic standpoint, or let's just say from a detail standpoint. The equipment that we use with balance, we are also able to do a lot of cognitive stimulation. Now, Sudoku puzzles, things people can do at home, all of this absolutely works. But with what we're using, again, I mentioned we try to fit that slice between patients doing just what they do at home versus other things in a clinical setting. We're doing things to simply help jumpstart, right? So if we show some things with cognitive, they're forgetting where the keys are more than the average, or different things like that. MCI, like was referred to, mild cognitive impairment. So there's multiple different things. Coffee sponsors have a company that addresses that in a clinical setting. Sarah Skills with Joe and so forth. And again, we're part of that as well. So typically we will try and address it in a way to give the patient a push. A term called neuroplasticity. If anybody's ever known a stroke patient, right? You may, facial and speech and so forth, but then you see them 3 months, 6 months, a year later, and they've really come along. Well, if it's not cut and fully damaged, this neuroplasticity isn't just a theory anymore, it's a fact. It takes time, 60 days, 90 days, 6 months, and so forth and so on with the science of it. So we use that quite a bit, even to explain to patients, this is why you need 5 weeks of care. This is why you need 10 weeks of care. 10 weeks is just over 60 days, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to kind of cut it there. Questions as to anything that we've touched on or opened up for you to think about?
Is it possible to make appointments just for the balance?
It is, yes,
Test
very good.
balance?
I'm going to be heading out, but Steve always stays, and he has answers for any questions with that. But I feel it's so important that people know their metrics that I hate the word free, it kind of seems like it cheapens it, but complimentary is more fancy. But yes, we do balance testing, complimentary. We'd like a quick call just so we can kind of fit it in. It's not a long test, but I'm sure my patients have probably seen a little sign sometimes we put up front, free balance testing today. So yeah, I think it's a metric people should know. You know, it's like going by a health fair and they check your blood pressure, you know, the silent killer as they call it. In some ways, maybe balance can be a silent disruptor, if you will. So the answer is yes on that. You know, not just for this group only or tomorrow only. We do that all the time. There was another.
Oh, my question was, do you work out a program when someone comes in? So if someone comes in and they have that balance test, do you then recommend a program for them, or?
Yes, absolutely. Nothing in my office is cookie cutter, one size fits all. You know, Joe, Eleanor's been doing things, and yourself. So based on those evaluations and those metrics, we then put a program together, really like any good physician should, right? So that would be visits, time, that kind of thing.
Being that this is an older group, do you guys accept Medicare or Medicaid as payment?
Great question. So I have and continue to be a provider with any of the insurances that I can. I was super happy when I first got accepted to Blue Cross eons ago, and Aetna and all that. So yes, I'm still a Medicare, I'm still a Medicaid provider. The caveat with that, I'll say, is, like anyone who's dealt with healthcare in the last, it's one thing to say we accept it, it's another to what they pay for. They've all whittled it down so much, so I really feel we do a good job to keep our doors open and keep fees reasonable, and we try and take that into consideration on all this stuff. But, short answer, yes, we're on all the plans.
Thank you.
Yeah, at the risk of stating the obvious, Doc, we have 12 best practices. But one of the most important ones, if not the most important one, is exercise and movement. So the fact that you're supporting that to be able to happen, that's really what's gonna reduce that lifespan, health span equation. It's really amazing what you're doing and much appreciated.
Absolutely. And, to that point, again, I've already touched on this, but just to bring it up again, things that are out of our control, they're hard. I mean, health challenges affect either us or our family and so forth. But the things that are in our control, it takes effort. It takes effort to push the dessert. It takes effort to make those choices. It takes effort to work out. I don't like to pump my chest, but I'm up 5 a.m. I worked out this morning. I was cold plunging at 6:15. I read this stuff and, what's the old saying? Once you see something, you can't forget that you saw it. You can't unknow something you've learned. And when there are these benefits there, I thank the good Lord that I woke up this morning and I'm a lot older than when I used to practice right here in Port St. Lucie. That's the blessing out of my control. What I can control is what I try and preach and that I practice. I've got patients that have known me. I literally still have my grandson yesterday asked me, GP, they call me because I couldn't be called grandpa yet. He says, GP, who was your first patient? I says, you know what, Finn, that's a really good question. It was a gentleman on US 1, I still remember it, that owned the paint place that painted my first office. My second patient was Tim Murphy, Murphy's Carpet. I still remember these guys. That was 35 years ago. So I'll have patients come in sometime and go, Doc, you look good. Boy, you're lucky. You got good genes. Drives me crazy. I am lucky. Probably got some good genes, but they're saying now genetics, you can only blame them or ride them for. Now I'm hearing less than a fifth.
Yeah.
Things that I say, again, I'm preaching now, but they're things that are in our control. So I agree more with what Bill says. Things that we do in the office, we're trying to put the impetus into patients that it's never too late. It's the old Japanese saying is, when was the best time to plant an oak tree? 20 years ago. When's the second best time? Today. Thank you very much. Any other questions?
Great presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody ever hear of Mother Teresa?
Sure.
Yes.
Anybody? Okay, just checking. Well, we have our own Mother Teresa. Okay, I've been around running this Treasure Coast Advocate for Seniors, going on, not quite, but going on almost a couple decades. That person is Catherine Griffin.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here. I'm going to read the mission statement and how this group originated, so allow me a few minutes. The mission of Treasure Coast Advocates for Seniors is to provide healthcare and financial education, counseling, and assistance on the Treasure Coast. TCAS was started back in 2008 when Mona Gwen Huff, Kim Nelson, Gil White, Pam Springer, Kathy Blackman, and myself decided over coffee to help our seniors on the Treasure Coast. Nancy Hanneman, Leslie, and Lee Borellis joined the board shortly after. Since then, Mona and Gil have passed, and we honor them with carrying this torch of assisting our seniors. We are all volunteers. We all have regular jobs, but our commitment is to help seniors in need. In the past, we've helped seniors with air conditioning needs, many appliances, carpet cleaning, pest control issues, and even pet supplies. If you know of a senior that needs assistance, please speak to one of our board members so we can assist. Our meetings are here every last Thursday of the month, except for November and December. We're always looking for new members. You can join on our website, tcadvocates.org. Thank you, Tom.
Okay. Just introduce yourself, because it's going to be live out to the world. Let's, you want to start in the back? I'm standing already. Go ahead.
There you go. My name is Mark Bobick. I live out in Tradition. I'm not sure if you guys ever do meetings or presentations out there, but there is this community center. I live in one of several 55 and over, so you've got a good audience built in there. And also, we have a 97-year-old we help take care of down in the Sylvana, a rental apartment down in Stewart, just north of the bridge. She walks miles and miles a day with her little doggie. And I know they have a community room and do routine presentations there too. Be probably good for you on a customer end as outreach, and also good for them because a lot of them just stay there and never go anywhere. But the more they can get it involved in the community, I think the better it would be for all of them. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Joshua Ward. I'm with the general contractor that specializes in occupied renovations and senior living, living in the South Coast. We're family owned. Pleasure to meet you all.
Good morning. My name is Mark White with Elder Home Care Services. We are a private duty company servicing all of the Treasure Coast and West Palm and so forth. Thank you.
Good morning, John Daly with Senior Care Authority, helping seniors find new homes in retirement community living. That's independent living, assisted living, and memory care. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Erica. I work with Hallmark Home Care, private duty. We cover the entire Martin, St. Lucie, and Indian River counties.
Morning, my name is Steve Gold. I'm with White Glove Moving Storage Delivery Service here in the Treasure Coast, full service moving storage and delivery.
Good morning, I'm Joey with Ability Home Care. We offer home care, private duty nursing from Vero down to Palm Beach and out in Okeechobee.
Good morning, I'm Rosie with Ability Home Care as well. We also provide the home health aid course. So if you know anyone that wants to help seniors and they want to get educated and get their certificate, we can do that as well. And we do accept Medicaid as well. So anyone with private duty or that has Medicaid, we can help.
Hello, Matt Baxter, Stay Safe Service. The goal of my company is to help seniors and people with disabilities like myself continue to live in their homes as long as it's safe to do so. There's a time when it might not be. So I'm meeting with John after this to help my mother-in-law find a community to live in.
Board member.
And board member.
George Huff, board member. I'm an elder law attorney, proactive legal care. Board member.
Good morning, I'm Tamara Barnett. I'm with Bankers Life, full comprehensive retirement planning in all areas of life, helping people 2 months to age 90.
Hi, I'm Diane Layden. I'm a certified nurse care manager in the area, and there's not many of nurse care managers in the area, so I'm here if you know of any seniors that need assistance. I try and keep people in their homes as long as possible in a safe way.
Good morning, Gail Goldie with I Care Community Magazine. We're a community-based magazine. We have distribution to over 52,000 readers monthly. We're in print, we're in online, and we can tell your story for you. We're about all types of healthcare as well as articles in the magazine.
Good morning all. Susan Garman with Elder Home Care, where one call really does do it all. We're covering the Treasure Coast and down to West Palm Beach.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nicole Vaughn, and I'm with Harbor Place. We're a senior living community, independent living, and assisted living, located on US 1 here in Port St. Lucie.
Oh, and you're also a board member?
Board member.
And
And
secretary.
And secretary.
Go ahead, Catherine.
We're done, aren't we?
Oh,
Yeah, go ahead. Just go ahead.
We're done, let's dance. Yeah, so I look forward to talking to you more about what we do. And it's really complementary with Dr. Frank and what he was talking about in terms of helping people make changes to have better health. We're very interested in presenting, so Tradition would be a wonderful place if you could give us some contact information.
Yes, Bill White, prime brain, body and mind, 55 plus. Thank you.
Mary Scott, Keller Williams, helping seniors.
And a board member.
And board member.
Marty Green, Senior Home Services. So we actually work with chiropractors like Dr. Jim Pichot and primary care doctors and assisted living facilities and independent. And we provide a program called Service Skills. That's actually based on a study of 800 people. You mentioned the 200, it's a lot. Our study was actually 800. And what it's designed to do is help seniors maintain their balance and coordination and rebuild their cerebellum. That neuroplasticity he was talking about, this actually does that. And if you'd like more information, we have a path for you. Thank you.
Hi. I'm Eleanor Luber, and I'm Marty's wife.
Hi, Christine, Administrator of Elder Home Care Services, private duty, sitters and staffing, but we also do long distance transport. So anyone needs a long distance transport, we've gone all the way to California, just give me a call. And board member.
And vice president, and soon to be president. Okay, Alex, come on over. This guy, just want to introduce him, Alex Foreman, runs his own business. He's here, and he does all of this. Donates all his time. We were talking yesterday. He's running systems and so on and so forth and checks because we had some issues. We all know with the internet and everything, things can happen. And making sure this is all working. So he does it, and it's totally volunteer, as Catherine talks about all this being volunteer. So thank you very much, Alex. Go ahead.
Very welcome. Hi, my name is Alex, excuse me, with Techie Expert Web Design and more. I do a bit more than web design. I can also do email and backend automation, logo design, your Google business profile, pretty much anything that has to do with your online presence and generating more leads and more sales and more customers for you, I can help you with.
Okay, all right. Okay, just one of the quick things, you know, we're gonna have a bunch of events. What?
I've already been introduced.
A number of times. So we've got a bunch of events coming up this year. You're gonna see everything. Just go to our Facebook site. You'll also see it on our website. So, but we had something come up recently where somebody was in an outreach position to talk about like a health fair. So I sent that out to the members. It wasn't an hour, and a whole bunch of the members came back and volunteered to handle it for Treasure Coast Advocate Seniors. And of course, they're gonna have stuff there promoting their business. So, you know, boom, we had 3 volunteers, and, you know, it took part of the day. Same thing happened with a lady that called in that is in a assisted living home. We reached out, Nicole reached out to her, and we're still waiting to hear back in one day. So that's the kind of response that we do, the things that we do, because we care. We care, all right? And we have a drawing, right?
Yes, we have a couple.
All right. So, one for white glove, and I don't see any white gloves, but it's definitely white gloves. Moving.
Here, Steve, we'll let
Guys
you
are
go.
Yes.
And John Daly.
All right. It felt like wine.
And Matt, stay safe.
There you go.
Thank you.
Right.
We've got some exciting speakers coming up. For March, we've got Dr. Josh Sabak, he's a podiatrist. He'll be our speaker for March. For April, we've got Vicki Stromak, guardian ad litem. For May, Encompass, talking about stroke. June, Treasure Coast Hospice. July, Dr. Emerson from Coastal Ortho, talking about nutrition. August, Medicaid and estate planning with Wes Harbin. September, Treasure Coast Surgical Group. October, Katie Diamond, she's going to be talking about the Council on Aging Guide Program. No meeting in November because of Thanksgiving, and then December we'll have our holiday party. So those are some great speakers. By the way, we've got already people lined up for January, February, and March, but we're always looking for coffee sponsors in case you'd like to be a coffee sponsor.
By the way, she's talking January, February, March of 2026. Unreal. Okay, all right. Okay, Want to thank everybody for coming. We have these little cards and stuff about our mission statement, whatever. We're glad to take that. Don't be afraid to call us anytime. You want any hints about marketing, free marketing, you can get out to hundreds of businesses. So have a great day. Thank you.
Receiving any emails, you should see an email blast. If anyone's not receiving them, just let me know. You might have a firewall in your email or just check your spam. They go out weekly.